Hello and welcome to the movie podcast review of Turning Red. My name is Shahbaz and I am joined by my other cuddly pandas, Daniel and Anthony. Daniel, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. How about you?
Good. You know, another day and we're post-Batman now.
We are post-Batman.
The world is post-Batman
We're
now.
post-Panda and post-Batman right now.
The world is. Well, the world is not post-Panda yet.
Not yet.
They will be soon.
They will be very soon this Friday.
I think the world will change, though, after the panda.
I think so.
And we have Anthony. Anthony, how are you doing today? I don't know if I'd call you a cuddly panda, though. You're more like
it
a
would be that
vicious
panda
one.
that just takes you and eats you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The vicious panda.
He's not on a bamboo diet. He's on a Shabazz and Daniel diet.
Oh, great,
Yeah.
great.
I'm doing well. Yeah. It's a nice day today. It's like
It
really
is.
warm.
It is nice and warm today.
It is.
Really
Because,
warm.
you know, the world knew that we were going to be reviewing this movie.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's give them some good weather. Let's give them some good vibes.
Let's give them good
You know?
vibes.
Now, I'm just curious, like, because you call this pandas.
I did.
Do you think that we would all turn into pandas if we got too excited? Is that who we would turn into?
Isn't that technically what the curse is?
That's the curse, but what would the curse be for us, though?
I think you would turn into like a spider. You would turn into
No,
the thing you hate the
man.
most.
No, that's
would all
not
turn
true.
into- yes.
We all turn into the thing I
No,
hate the
Daniel
most.
would turn into like
If I turn into the thing I hate the most, I turn into myself. I just turn
Or
back
me.
into myself.
Yeah.
Or to you. Yeah.
Anthony, what would you turn into?
I don't know, something like
You turn into like a slug,
why a slug? I would turn into like
like a centipede.
No.
What would you turn into then?
I'm not turning into an insect.
Oh, okay. Sorry, man. What would you turn into?
I don't know.
Jaguar?
What do you want me to turn into? What do you like?
What's
when
an
you see
Italian
me-
animal? A puma?
When you see me, what do you think?
You'd turn into the Italian stallion. You'd be a horse.
Yeah, but like with like one gimp leg.
Why do I have to be like a special horse?
No, you're technically you're not a special horse.
Yeah, I'm special. I have like a uniqueness to me.
I guess if you want to say it like that.
Yeah, I'm vengeance. That's what all I am. Yeah, I'm Batman. I turn into
Vengeance?
Batman.
Wow. Okay. You turn into the bat. How about you, Shay?
man bat.
Who would you turn into?
I turn into a snake,
You turn into a snake,
like
eh?
a cobra,
Interesting.
because I hate snakes.
Interesting.
With the fear, but I would turn into a cobra and bite your ankles.
Can't wait
Okay.
for you to enter your car one day.
What? I enter my car all the time.
Well, one day there will be a snake there.
That's one of my biggest fears is toilet snakes. Even though I've never had it,
Right.
but toilet snakes is a big fear of mine.
Toilet
Spiders are a little bit more common, so I
Yeah.
want you to be aware of that.
I mean, yeah, because I always like flush the toilet because you never know if they're just hanging on the corners.
So
of
do you flush toilet before you start the
Sometimes,
business?
yeah. Like, but I definitely
wastewater.
I
Okay,
do
go on.
inspect the bowl before I do my business, because like I've seen videos where
Yep.
it's like people are in the washroom and they flush and like a giant spider falls down.
Yep.
This might be TMI, but like my grandma used to tell me growing up, like if I spent too much time in the washroom,
Yep.
snakes would come and
Yes.
like
All the
get me
time.
out of there. So I would.
Wait, would
always
they
be
like?
scared
Would they
of
just politely ask you to move off the toilet?
Yeah.
Get out of here, you!
that. We're busy.
Hey, where's your pipes?
Yeah. So yeah, just this is that was
Yeah,
the Portuguese legend apparently.
I have no spiders or snakes coming out of my toilet.
No,
Yeah, usually
clean
horses.
pipes, clean pipes.
Clean pipes at the Anthony house.
Yeah, very very clean.
That's good.
Well, I'm glad.
I've never heard of spiders in a toilet bowl.
Oh well, let's pray you never get them.
They
then.
are like slightly more common. And when I say more common, like 0.1% more common.
Yeah, and I mean that's why like I never want to live in Australia. I mean, I
Yes.
just feel like leaving your house is a big risk there.
Yeah.
You leave your house and what are the flying dinosaurs called?
Pterodactyl?
Pterodactyl?
Pterodactyls just come and take you away there.
It's not like leaving
It's like,
your
hey,
house.
this is a great day. Ah!
I would
Like,
say
you're gone.
sleeping, just sleeping there.
Yeah.
because you don't know what's crawling on you at the.
I've woken up like when I have been to other countries. I've woken up with a lizard on me.
Yeah, you
That
have
was
to tell
fine. That was
story.
fine.
Yeah,
Tell that
but do you,
I'll
do
be
you
honest,
want?
that's the story.
But
What kind of lizard?
do you want to live in a place where that's possible?
No.
I remember I went to the washroom and I've shown you guys the picture
Where?
before in
now?
in Dominican Republic when I was there, and there was like the biggest spider on the wall that literally looked like you would eat a small child, and I literally
So
was
did
in the
it eat
water.
you
I
out?
was mid pee when I saw it, and I was just looking. I'm like, if this is how I die, this is how I die. You know, I died as I lived.
Of course.
Peeing all the time.
Peeing
All the time.
Damn, you're a peer.
Yeah.
What about you? How you die? Wait, what is this? wait,
What do you think the question was, by the way?
What is this episode
This is
about?
not a kids show. This is
Yeah,
a kids episode,
This is a
right?
kids episode.
Yeah, we would die by pandas.
Yeah.
As always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every Monday, except this Monday is a little bit different. This Monday is this episode.
You're listening to this right now.
You're like, whoa, it's Monday, but I'm listening on a Tuesday. It's because you're wrong. It's actually Monday. And watch out throughout the week because we have review episodes that drop all the time on all the latest movies and series. Recently, we just had a review drop for Winning Time, The Lakers Dynasty on HBO. These two, Turning Red and that show, don't pair well together. So I don't recommend watching them back to back.
I mean, you do what you got to do.
Well, you
right?
do what you got to do. If you're in that kind of mood, send the kids to bed and watch.
Oh yeah. Rating wise, very different.
Yes.
Very, very different.
Yes. And make sure to follow us when the kids are asleep at The Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. Don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and join our Discord as well. Write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca and check out our show notes for all those links and more. Daniel, do we have announcements?
I think we got a little bit of announcements to share.
Ring, ring, ring,
ring, ring, ring. The announcements king is here. I don't know why I turned into hello.
Were you Dr. Seuss
Yeah.
all of a sudden?
I mean, listen, we have, like Shay mentioned, we have a great review out for HBO's Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty. But just before that, we did drop a review, a spoiler-free review for a little movie called The Batman. Indie film, very small. Please go check out that review because you hear our, fresh off watching it for the first time thoughts. Now, you may be wondering, yeah, the spoiler-free is great, but I've already seen The Batman, and I want to hear more about what you thought about this and that and all and everything in between. Well, guess what? We will be having a spoiler review out, or spoiler cast, not really review, just a spoiler discussion on everything that happened in The Batman coming out later this week. Which day? Well, we're not too sure yet, but it will be happening this week. Could be tomorrow, could be the next day, but for sure, make sure you're following us on the Movie Podcast feed, wherever you listen to us, so you could catch that spoiler cast because you will not want to miss it. We've seen the movie a few times since our original review, so you'll get a lot more of our thoughts, a lot more of our insights, a lot more of our feelings now that this movie has been living with us for a little bit longer. And I think it's safe to say, spoiler alert, that we love it even more since the first time we watched it. So you won't want to miss that. Later this week, we will have some special guests joining us on the show from this very movie we're talking about today.
What?
So to find out who those are, make sure you're following us again. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us on the Movie Podcast feed. We will not let you know who the special guests are, but we will let you know they're from this film. So tune in for that.
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't want to give it all away.
No.
You got to
save a little something.
Save a little something, you know what I mean? Don't give the cow away for free,
I'm going to say it right
Don't
now.
say it. Man.
Don't say it. Don't do
I'm
it.
gonna literally send a spider and a snake
And a horse.
and a horse to your house.
A spider,
horse?
snake, and horse walk into Anthony's
this
house.
is gonna be like a stallion
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be a horse with like snakes for legs.
or a snake for a
Wait,
tongue.
Yeah.
Awful.
And eight legs because it's a horse.
Eight-legged horse.
it would have
with
been
a
better
snake
if
for a tongue.
the horse had a tongue that's a snake.
That's what I just said.
Oh.
Did you say that?
Yeah, snake for a tongue.
Is that how Anthony dies?
Yeah. Welcome to the How Do You Die podcast.
Yeah. My lord.
Well, the movie we're talking again today is called Turning Red. This is a new Disney Pixar film coming straight to Disney Plus. So everybody can go ahead and check it out on March 11th. And this is directed by Domee, starring Rosalie Chiang, Sandra Oh, Ava Morse, Maitreyi Ramakrishnan, Hyein Park. So, Anthony, what is Turning Red all about?
Maitreyi is a 13-year-old girl who is torn between being her mother's obedient daughter and the chaos of her youth. As if that weren't enough, when she gets too excited, she turns into a big red panda.
As we all do.
Happens to us all the time.
Or me, a gimpy horse.
Gimpy horse.
Donkey. I'm just a donkey.
You're just a donkey.
Yeah, that's pretty close, I'd say. I think a lot of people would call you an ass. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Daniel, give us your first reactions.
Listen, this is a film that we've been waiting so long for since we saw Domee's work with Bao a few years ago, which he won an Oscar for. I think we kind of just fell in love with like her art style, and yes, it looks like a Pixar movie, but there's so much to this film that's inspired by just other animation styles, and I think that shines through in this movie. And I think what I loved so much about this movie, I'll get to like the mother-daughter dynamic and everything else. The fact that this movie is just so open about taking place in Toronto. You know, like we've seen Pixar films take place in so many other iconic locations. We think of Soul, where it takes place, in New York City, and we have Inside Out, which is San Francisco, and we've had a lot of other movies, or Luca, like taking place in Italy. Like we've seen a lot of other locations in movies. We don't get to see Toronto in films a lot.
No.
Or we do, but it's never Toronto playing itself. We got so excited when we were talking with Mike Rianda, who's the director of Mitchell's vs. Machines, that they had that little cutaway gag, like, oh, with the Wi-Fi going out in Toronto, and look how people are reacting and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And having a whole movie take place in Toronto, and seeing streets that you recognize, seeing stores and the CN Tower and the Sky Dome, and like seeing these like Daisy Mart, like you don't realize how much that does for a movie, just to feel like you're represented and you're being shown off, and it just does something, and you feel the magic of like, wow, like this story is like, yes, it's not central to Toronto. It's like you're not going to relate to this movie more because it's in Toronto. But being from Toronto, having our show, based out of Toronto, and seeing that, it's cool. Like it's like you kind of, like, especially Canadians, I think we're very proud about Canada, and we like to rep where we come from, and it's like cool seeing that.
I think Daniel wants a animated show that's focused on Toronto.
100%. 100%. I just want to see like give me a Marvel movie that like the hero's Canadian and it takes place in somewhere in Canada. You know what I mean? Like it's just cool seeing Canada playing itself. It's cool seeing Toronto play itself, and especially because this is an animation, all the more work was put into that because they had to design all of that, right? And I think Domee being from here as well too, like she brought that authenticness to it. Now let's look at the main characters of the film. We have May, who is just fantastic. She's so likable and confident in herself, and then in who she is with her friends, but struggles with with her home life, in the sense of she's always seen as like perfect little May, as she says, right? And it's cool having that, because I think us as kids, we had that divide between who we were with our family at home and then who we wanted to be with our friends, right? And I think I related to that a lot. I related to, not necessarily having the double life, but having that like, I'm more like outgoing and like not myself, but at home I'm more reserved, right? So I really appreciated that, and I love the dynamic between her and her mom, and the relationship she had with her dad, and I just really love this film, and I think it pulled all my heartstrings, and I honestly think when I look at Pixar as a whole, this movie definitely stands out art style more so than I think that what we've seen before. And I think it really is. And I said in our social reactions that this is one of my favorite Pixar films. I honestly think this is one of Pixar's best films, in the sense that it's so true to itself. It's true to the story that it's telling about this girl growing up and trying to find out who she is, and then having that Pixar twist but she's also turns into a panda.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I totally agree.
Really loved it.
Anthony, what about yourself?
Yeah, I thought it was good. Did the story connect with me on like a philosophical level that normally like a Pixar film usually does?
Make you question your own reality? Yeah.
Exactly. No. But
sorry, I thought that no was going to be immediately followed up on.
Like, no.
But it's a great. I think Pixar's going a different route with a lot of the movies that they've been recently coming out. I think they're more focused on, more grounded in a sense, still involving like creatures, because this is very similar to Luca, where it's a coming of age for in Luca's story was a boy, and for Turning Red was a young woman or a girl. So yeah, I think they're really trying to connect with their audience that they're making these films for. So I think that was fantastic. I love the idea of it taking place in Toronto, because Toronto doesn't really get to be shown.
No, not at all.
A lot of places.
Ever.
Usually, like a lot of movies are made in Toronto, but it's always New York and
Chicago.
And culturally, we are very multicultural. So seeing that and seeing May live in this world, it did bring me back to that time of growing up in the 2000s and seeing Sky Dome and seeing the CN Tower and going down Queen Street and just living that life. But yeah, I really liked it. I think the mother-daughter relationship is going to connect with a lot of parents and a lot of young women who are going to be watching this. I really like the idea of her character turning into a red panda when she can't control her emotions, and just going from there and like living this life. But then little entrepreneur, she turns that idea into like a money making.
She starts
thing.
hustling the panda. Yeah.
So it's
Very
really
Toronto
really,
idea.
Is it a Toronto idea?
Yeah, I feel like in Toronto that we try, especially in Toronto, we try very hard to, it's already hard to be recognized in Toronto as it is. Like we're always, not seen a lot.
Yeah.
So whatever we can do in Toronto is we try to make sure we hustle the best way that we can to make our talents and whatever we do here shine as bright as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought going back to the mother-daughter and just that culture, and I think a culture of coming from immigrant parents is, they want you to be the best because they don't want you to end up like how they grew up and how they had to struggle. So it's always like, you have to be number one in school.
Yeah.
You have to have good grades.
They want everything for you that they didn't have for themselves.
And
Right?
you see that a lot in like Asian cultures because it's very like, you need to play the piano. You need to do this. You need to be a doctor. You need to be a lawyer. And you have to be like an astronaut. And you have to be
all at once. All of those things at once.
And it's just like this movie captures or realizes that accepting failure is okay. Like that's how we grow, and it's not always have to be perfect. And you see the struggles and growing up in a multicultural school and learning about different cultures. I saw like the stress that a lot of kids went through, and my friends would go through because of their parents, in which they were coming from a different
background.
No, just a different idea of where or how they should be brought up.
Right.
Like nowadays, you just want your kids to like be safe and do whatever makes them happy. But our parents and their parents, they always wanted you to be the most successful thing in the world.
Yeah.
So they do a really good job of capturing that. Other than that, like I think it was a fantastic film. I think the biggest thing is it's really focused on the coming of age of a young woman and just dealing with her parents. And I think parents are going to enjoy that too, because they're going to see both those worlds that, I want my kid to be successful, but how is my kid actually?
Is it their success or is it my success that I want?
Exactly.
From them, right?
And that's, I think a lot of parents and especially young women, because it is focused a lot on being a young woman.
Yeah.
It's going to stand out to them. And I think they'll enjoy it. I think my niece will love this film. Will this movie connect with everyone? Not everyone, no, but I think a lot of people will love the story.
Yeah. No, I think you guys brought up a lot of great points here. And I think one of the things that kind of stood out to me, something, Daniel, that you brought up was, growing up, especially in an immigrant household, I wasn't myself when I was at home. I was very, reclusive, just like very, yes, mom, whatever you need, like just a good kid at home.
Yeah.
And I related to May so much because of that, because when I was with my friends is when I felt most at peace, most calm, and most like myself. And that's when that really, really connected with me. And my mom, I love her to death. Whenever she'd, come out to places with me, sometimes it would be embarrassing, like it is for a lot of kids. Like the way that my mom would try to, I guess, interact with my friends.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mom, stop. Like this is, no, don't do this.
Did she ever like chaperone school trips and stuff?
She did once.
Yeah,
she did once, and I went to a primarily like white school. Like I was one of the few out of like 4 kids who was not white.
Really?
Yeah. So it was always interesting because people would always kind of look at you a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So there was a lot.
Your mom's not white?
Yeah. Like what? How do you say her name? And I'm like, oh Jesus! Like don't even try. And it's not even a complicated name, but it just made me laugh that how much I related to that. Seeing the obsession with boy bands. I wasn't obsessed with boy bands, but I loved that music growing up as a kid.
I loved NSYNC.
I was a Backstreet Boys kid growing up. Definitely became more NSYNC. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that there's so much about this film that you can kind of relate to, especially feeling, I think, at peace with your friends when you go to school.
Yeah.
Because we used to love going to school as kids.
I think as an adult, I don't miss like the pressures of school. I just miss the thing I miss most about like elementary school or high school is just that we didn't have that responsibility.
Yeah.
And I don't think we knew so much in that time. Like we were naive to the world, right? Like we knew that there was bad stuff in the world, but like you're not surrounded by it constantly like we are.
Yeah.
Or you are as an adult, right? Like you could have that blissful ignorance to what it is when you're growing up.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like when you're with your friends, that's when you're figuring out who you are as a person.
Yes.
You're developing when you're at home, but it's when you're out with your friends. That's what's influencing you when you're growing up, what you like, what you don't like, what you wear, the music that you listen to. All that comes from growing up, being at school, being with your friends, making new friends.
Right.
And I like that this movie really embraced that a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And what I also really dug with this film is the animation style. I think, Pixar is always known to just really flaunt how good their animation looks. And what I liked about this one was they chose a unique art style where it looked a bit more traditional animation while still focusing on the nitty-gritty details. Like you look at May's cap that she's wearing, you can see the fibers of that cap popping out.
Pixar's not afraid to flex when they want to in this film, like the food scenes.
The food scene, yeah.
Or May on a car ride home in the movie, you just see like the reflections in the window.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful shots. So it's a great balance of an art style that's animated, yet still tries to be as detailed as possible.
Yeah. Same with there's a lot of anime like just like shots that where we'll have like a super zoom in on May like
sweating.
being nervous and you seeing the beads of sweat, like that's straight out of anime, like the eyes that are like kind of glowing when they see something that's cute. Like it's really cool. Like it's really cool seeing like these other like forms of animation all incorporated and that literally just goes to show just how the animation was and just the diversity in the film. Like this film is just such like a pod of like everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like I think that's what it does so well.
And it's hilarious. I laughed a lot. I had a really good time laughing. I think Abby was one of my favorite characters. She's so aggressive with her like sharp pin down eyebrows.
Yeah.
She's always
it's so cute.
Like she's like yelling, and it was just it really made me laugh. And again, seeing the Sky Dome, like you mentioned, Anthony, just all of that really felt good. I felt seen while watching the film, even though I can't relate to the more feminine aspects of the story. Again, we all have women in our lives, so we've heard their stories. We can put those stories right onto the screen.
Yeah, and again, like I think this is also one of the most mature Pixar films in that sense too, because it very much is a coming of age story. You're dealing with things like like as silly as it sounds, like we're seeing pads in this movie, and it's like we've never seen that in a Pixar movie before. No. You know what I mean? Like we have a character who with May where she kind of gets turned on and she's kind of like having a moment where she just turns into the panda there, right? And it's like as an adult you're looking like, oh wow, like you know what the implications are there, but as a kid you're seeing that and you could relate to it in different ways. And it's just funny how that scene in the film, which I love so much, where her mom kind of just finds her drawings and immediately goes, we have to go to the Daisy Mart and you can confront Devin and see what, like, it's just like there's those moments that, like, again, that fear of me either something that I did and then the blame goes to somebody else, and that fear that you have. And yeah, parents and growing up, like, it's definitely related to a lot of that. A lot of like the parents not knowingly embarrassing you, but just like that fear of like that embarrassment of like, what your parents are doing.
Were you drawing?
I wasn't drawing. No, I wasn't drawing women. But like,
you under your
sicko. No, but like as a kid, like when you're discovering things and again, us growing up in the 2000s, I'm like, hey, what's this internet all about? There's stuff on the internet you could see on the internet. You need to, but you know what I mean? Like there's that there, and I love that the choice for this movie too, taking place in 2002. I thought that was really cool. Like it could have so easily been a movie that took place today, but it also would have been a very different story, I think, because there's so many different elements that affect kids growing up right now. So I think what we related to it so much more too is the fact that, like, you know, I was like around the same age as May when this was happening, right? Or close to the age. Yeah. Or I had a sister that age when this is going on, right? So just cool. It's just really cool seeing that.
Yeah. No, I think Domee did such a great job of capturing all that. It's almost like a what do they call them?
A biography?
No, those things that you put in the ground and then you open it up.
Seed? Oh, like, time capsule.
Time capsule. Oh, it's such a good job of like time capsuling those things. You got Tamagotchis in there.
Yeah.
You got like the boy band.
Yeah,
part.
the boy bands. Yeah, you get the purple. It's not a Raptors jersey per se, but like it's a purple jersey, that basketball jersey the kid's wearing.
And just the music. And braces. Like braces. Yeah, I don't see a lot of kids with braces anymore, but it's.
What?
I'm also not looking at a lot of kids. There's not a lot of kids of that age around me.
But braces was a huge part of like
When we were
90s
kids,
and 2000s.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Now they were invisible. You don't even.
Did you have braces?
That's true.
I had braces. Yeah.
You didn't have braces.
I didn't have braces.
I had
no.
braces. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like little things like that capture that in a time capsule, and then you reopen it and you're just like, oh yeah.
Oh, are these braces?
But let's talk about the panda part.
The panda.
The panda parts.
The panda
parts.
Yeah.
CP.
What did you think of like the panda itself?
The panda was cool. I mean, like it's cool that like it just looked very like aggressive, but like it was just so like cute and like cuddly, and they all just wanted to to
very
hug it.
like it reminded me a lot of Sully from Monsters Inc.
Yeah,
all the
definitely.
hairs would just move kind of in the wind.
They're definitely using that Sully technology.
the Sully technology.
The Sully technology.
The old water news jumping growl. What about yourself?
Yeah, I thought like it's not just her size of a panda; it's like a giant panda. So
It's a big panda.
It's hard to hide as a giant panda.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm also surprised of how cool everybody was with
Yeah.
it. I mean, maybe that's
guess
just like
kids are, right?
the kids would just be like, "That's awesome."
Sure.
That's awesome.
She was jumping from building the building. Look like the tumbler. You know when the tumbler was jumping from building the building.
And Batman Begins.
Yeah, and it's just, like,
Rooftop to rooftop.
destroying
Yeah,
the rooftops. That's how
100%.
when she's escaping and just realizing what she's turned into, and her
Yeah.
mother is like chasing her on the city streets.
You guys
in
don't
the
remember
car.
Panda Apocalypse in 2002?
I must have missed it.
Yeah.
No, the panda looked cool, and it's so funny that like whenever she transformed, this like pink smoke would come out, and sometimes when you look at something on screen, you're like, I wonder what that smells like. Like
I was
this-
wondering what it smelled like.
Like
too,
it
yeah.
just smells like I imagine like the department store perfumes, like
Yeah,
you're
like
walking
going
to
to the bay.
yeah, and you're just kind of walking through and you get a whiff of that.
The
So I feel like when Domee was creating this, having lived here, like that was such a common thing. You walk around the malls, you'd walk into the bay, and then poof, like
Yeah.
a pink cloud
I
of
used to
like smell.
Hold my breath walking through.
Oh my God, yeah.
One thing that we learned about watching the press conference
let's
was
talk about it.
Domee said that she couldn't come to Toronto and like review the city after because of COVID and all that, and she really connected with a lot of people inside the city multiculturally, like connecting with we'll say Chinatown and the people that live there, and just getting their input on the design, which I think makes it more authentic, and getting that done right, rather than just like let's look at pictures on Google, and going on Google Maps and like trying to recreate it that way. So that was pretty cool. Like I was surprised she didn't come over. I guess during that time it wasn't.
She had enough in the memory,
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's always amazing to like get people who are involved in the community to have their input, and I think that just again connects to like how we like to see Toronto, because that's Toronto. That's very that's our city. It's very multicultural, and even the producer was like, "Oh my God, I didn't even know so much." Like again, they're coming from a world like LA, like that's all they focus on. But the producer is like realizing how big of Toronto is and how many people like root for it, and what it really stands for. It just it's amazing to
You
see.
see it in the movie. You see like a woman in a hijab walking around, a man in a turban. Like that is not something you see in animated films or even just movies today.
Yeah.
It
just felt like we see it and it feels natural to us, but we also recognize like, oh my gosh, like we don't like see like this is something. These are things that we see every day. Like this is not this is not abnormal to us, but when you see it in an animated form, you're like, that's so cool that they did that. Or seeing like the money, the loonies and the toonies, like seeing the Timbits on the table. It's like, damn, like that's
They did like accessibility needs kids in there as well, just to like, show representation.
it just felt like I'm like, this is what it looked like when I went to school. Like seeing May in school, like Turning Red feels exactly like what it was like when I went to school. This felt like this is an accurate classroom to what it looked like when I was in school, and I really appreciated that it did that.
Amazing. Is there anything else you folks want to touch on about Turning Red before we jump to our final?
Do you think there'll be a sequel?
Turning Blue?
Turning Redder?
Or the turning has a 2 at the front of it.
Oh,
So it still says Turning Red,
turning,
but it says Turning Red.
turning red.
Turning Red.
Why are we Kermit the Frog now? Turning
Yeah,
green.
It's turning green.
Turning green.
Damn.
Ooh.
What do you think?
I think so. I think I think
They set up for a sequel, which is
they
nice.
do set up for a sequel. I would maybe want to see a year jump, a couple of years. Maybe she's in high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because she's what, grade 7, grade 8?
She was 13, so that's grade 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
No,
obviously
grade 13 is grade
No,
7, 8?
7, 8,
grade
yeah.
It's
It's like
7,
or
8, and then you turn 14 in grade 8 or whatever.
Unless you skipped a year too. I mean,
Unless
there's going to be
you
so many
It's true.
layers.
Yeah, and again, not to spoil the ending of this movie, so like
I mean, we won't spoil the
No one
yeah,
dies.
No,
Like, this-
Yeah.
no one dies. No, but just in terms of like what happens with the panda and stuff like that, right? But like,
right.
there's definitely places that they can
There's
go
places
to.
they can go.
Yeah.
In the sequel,
High
that I would
school
love.
would be a good...
High school would be really cool.
And then the last, if they do a third, college years. Stay by
Turning red the college year.
yeah, it's just a weird R. It's just too sexy
Yeah.
for Disney
Damn,
Plus.
but it's interesting because like when you think about that and you go to a sequel, yeah, like if there is a time jump, then you're also getting into the beginnings of the internet, like in terms of social media.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of interesting places they could take it if they
A
want to go
lot of
that
places.
way, or they could leave it as a one-off and it'd be amazing that way
Still
too.
amazing too. I'm excited for whatever Domee does next, though.
100%.
Well, let's jump into our final recommendations. Let's start off with Anthony.
I would say watch it. If you're a Disney Plus subscriber, this is a definite watch. I think great for the kids and parents alike. If you're like a single dude, I don't know if that's something that you would enjoy, but watch it.
Maybe add to your queue then.
Add it to your queue. But other than that, I think it's really geared for young kids, and
Yeah.
that's what the story is about. And I think, if you are a parent, and I know a lot of people at my age are parents, they're going to find relatable things. And kids are going to ask you questions like, Dad, did you really grow, was that really called the Sky Dome? Or what was that?
Why does the Rogers Center say Sky Dome?
And,
God.
and little things like that. And I also think if you like food, this is there's a sequence in there that really makes
Great
you
food.
hungry.
Yeah, great food sequence.
Yeah.
Daniel, what about yourself?
I thought this movie was delightful. I absolutely loved it from beginning to end, and it was such a celebration of culture in the early 2000s in Toronto, and it was just cool seeing all of that. And I think Domee did just a phenomenal job with this movie, and like you said, Shay, I'm just so excited to see what she does next because I think she's such a talented director working right now. We saw that in Bao, we saw that in this film, and it'd be cool if her next film, whether it is a sequel to this film or not, make it take place in Toronto.
I would love
Let's make it expand to the GTA a little bit. We'll say hi to Brampton. We'll say hi to Mississauga. We'll say hi to Etobicoke. We'll see what else is out there.
Yeah.
But I love this movie. I honestly do think this is one of Pixar's best films, and it's a definite watch it for me.
Thank you. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you guys. I think this is also a watch it. This is a movie that I'm so happy that it's going to be on Disney Plus.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that too much.
Because you know what? As much as I'd love for this movie to be in theaters, and I think a lot of me was like, man, I really want to see this in theaters. What I know that this movie is going to have an effect on, though, is it'll be talked about everywhere. It'll have the same effect that Encanto had, where it was in theaters and no one talked about it, and then as soon as it hit Disney Plus, it became so popular.
And we're seeing that right now with West Side Story. Like all I've been seeing is West Side Stories everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
You put a movie that's available to more people, you're going to have more of a conversation about it.
Definitely.
This movie really celebrates the multiculturalism of Toronto, and I think that's one of my favorite parts about this movie too. And I think this is a definite watch it. Well, that was our review of Turning Red.
That's a sequel, though. That's a sequel.
Thank you so much for listening. Of course, we have a new episode out every Monday, except for this Monday is again a review episode, but we'll have review episodes also dropping throughout the week. Also, follow us at The Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd, and check out our show notes for all those links and more. That was This Time with The Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.